So I decided I was going to make some Christmas accessories for the living room in my dollhouse. So I wanted to make something to go across the piano. So I measured a green satin ribbon, and I got this free sample piece of fake grass from Home Depot. And it's too thick for Barbie size anyway, so actually after I cut it all off, it was the right size. So I'm going to cut off chunks of it at a time and take my hot glue gun, and basically when I'm starting out, I'm just going to put the grass pieces sideways. So I'm going to pretty much lay it all flat, and I'm going to go down each side of the ribbon all the way down. So I'm basically laying a flat layer of the grass. Then after I get some of that down, I'll start putting some pieces sticking up. So I get the whole rope-like effect, it's only going to be 3/4. I'm going to leave the bottom flat so that it lays real nice on the piano. So you can see how I'm laying it down at first, and I'm basically I'm not cutting it all the way to the bottom. I'm cutting about half of the length of that fake grass sample. They're not always in stock, so you just gotta kind of look for them. So you can see I've got a lot of it done. Just gonna finish it all the way down. And this is where I've laid it flat. So it's still just kind of an across layer. And I'll continue with that, doing the same thing. But I've got it a little better down now of a method. So when I take that bunch and I put them on, I take a wire, the end of another piece, and just use the wire to kind of push that bunch down, so that I get them fairly thick. It's better than when I was trying to push it with my hands. So I'm going to keep going with that. Right, so now I'm putting in this ones that stick up. So I got a bundle, and I put hot glue on the tip, and I push it straight down. And as I pull my fingers apart off of it, I kind of push them out a little. So they're sticking up, but they're spreading out. So it gives me that full garland look. So I decided to glue some pretty poinsettia like flowers in the middle. You see they look really pretty. I put 2 of them in. And then I need to decide on some other decorations I'm going to put along the garland. But first I have to cut it. So it's to make it more even and full. I'm cutting off the edges, making it a little smaller, more of a Barbie size. So I'm cutting it closer to the ribbon. And then I'm cutting the top and getting that shorter down to the more base of where I put things in, so it's thicker. So you can see it just makes it look like a more Barbie sized garland and thicker, because now it's got like uniform ends. All the straggly pieces are cut off, and you can see how good that looks. I mean, I can't get over how amazing this looks. It looks like a real nice piece of a genuine nice garland that you would buy for your home, not anything cheesy. I know they sell like mini garlands out there for mini trees, but they don't look like this. This just looks like top of the line garland. I love it. All out of that fake grass. You can see when I trim it down how good it starts to look. The shape just really comes into play. Beautiful. So now I'm going to add more decoration. I'm trying to decide, should I use these gold balls that I made out of the Hershey Kisses I just ate, or these little red beads that my mom sent me. And I think the red beads look the best, so I'm going to go with those. And I decide to take the gold balls out. I glued them on with a hot glue gun, and I just put the bead in with the holes on the sides. So I put a little bit of glue on the tip and then just push it down in where I want it to go in the garland. And at first I was just putting 2 clumped together, but then after I was done, I saw that it looked much better with groups of 3. For more decoration, I decided to make pots of poincianas, little poinciana plants. So this is just a lid to a shampoo bottle. And I fill the bottom with hot glue. And then I start pushing the stems in. Now these little flowers were given to me and the stems were too short. So I cut off some of the wire off some of the bigger stems, shrubbery that I can't use. And I hot glued them to the stem just to give it an extension and make it taller. And once I put enough poincianas in the pot, you can't see any of these. Now when I first started filling it in, I felt like I could still see them. So then I was tempted to cut one of the leaves off of the shrubs that I can't use, that are too big, and I figured, let me just bend it around it. But I ended up not liking that, and thank goodness you really can't see that. So I didn't do it to the others. Now once you get it to stick, I go ahead and take and put a little more hot glue on the top side of that. And I put these aside and I let them dry basically before I put them in the pot. Here's where I put the leaf around it. I really don't like that, but I ended up not really seeing it in the plant anyway. These are not a red, these are a pinkish red. And then I have some smaller red poincianas. And so I make a second one, a smaller one. So this is one I want to stand up kind of tall. And it's a taller cap that I'm using. The other cap that I'm using is off like a sparkling cider bottle. So it's covered in gold foil. So it's real pretty, and it's wider, so it makes for a nice, smaller, full little bouquet. So here's my taller one. Turned out really nice. I think I put another piece in after this. It's not quite as full as I want. Okay, so now I'm switching to the smaller one. This is the gold cap. It's a little bit wider, so it'll look better with the shorter, just very full bouquet. So that's what I do here. I just take these smaller pure red, like a real true red, and I put them in the glue here. And it makes a really cute, shorter vase of poincianas. For my next craft, I wanted to make those little cone trees that you see in the stores that are all glittery, or they have feathers on them, or cut glass, something really pretty. So what I first did is, I've made these before life size. So I cut a piece of paper that's a little thicker than, computer paper, and twisted it in a cone. But the problem is that the point wasn't good enough at the top. So you really have to hold the point. I'm holding the point really tight with my left hand, and I'm swinging the rest of it around. So I'm keeping that point in one place while I roll the rest of it in a much bigger circle. So there you go. You can't do this with a round piece of paper. It has to be a rectangle for it to work correctly to make this cone. I'm going to hot glue the final piece here together to hold the cone in place. Okay, once you hot glue that, it stays a cone. And then the end you cut so that it can sit nicely. And I've already made one as a trial. I'm going to make 3 altogether. I'm going to make all of them different sizes. So once I get that down, that's about the best point I can get at such a small scale with this thicker paper. All right, so I'm going to try and cut it straight, which it never does. It always has a little point or extra there you got to cut. And just test it out and make sure it sits flat. And it does. So I'm going to go ahead and make 3 of these. I've already got one made. The trick I learned here is that you really need to put this glue on flat. You don't want it clumped anywhere or more runny. So I'm really just going to make sure that I rub it down to where it's nice and flat. All the way around. Make sure you cover every bit of it. And I'm using, to cover these, a very fine glitter. It's the finest glitter that I could find at Hobby Lobby. It's in the square containers. And it's nice and not even sugary, it's powdery. It's really fine, so it's more of a Barbie size. I guess you could sprinkle some of your own, more of a life-size glitter to make it chunky, like the cones they do in the store, where they have a little bit of chunk and a little bit of cut glass here and there, so there's all different sizes. But I just went ahead and just did the fairy dust glitter on this. So I'm gonna pour it pretty generously all over. So I'm just gonna keep turning it around till I cover all of it. And if you miss any of it, which I did, I saw after I was done, you wait for it to dry a little bit. Add a little bit more Mod Podge, which is what I used, which dries nice and clear and actually kind of shiny. And just touch up the places where you missed. So now it's time to redecorate the piano. So this is how it is now. It's a food serving area for their Christmas party. And I do still want to put food and goodies on the piano, but I don't like the way this looks, so I'm taking off these jars. And I'll probably use those candy canes and lollipops. Taking off this tray of sweets, the cups. I don't think there's any need for music either during this time, so I'm gonna take that off and redecorate with the new crafts I just made. So I'm putting the small bouquet, poinciana bouquet, on the statue. Plant stand, I guess. And here's the garland we made. Now the only thing I'm sad about is I wanted it to drape over the edges of the piano, and I'm trying to push it here, but it's stiff from all the glue on it, so it's not gonna drape. I could trim the ends to make it the exact shape of the piano, but I'm just gonna go ahead and leave it. I like it. This is just a crystal bowl that I filled with some glitter balls to look like ornaments. And I'm gonna put the 3 glitter trees in. They look so good with my small, medium, and large. I love the way they sparkle. Really pretty. Couldn't really decide what was the best way to arrange the 3. I couldn't get their bases close enough together to do them the way I wanted, but you can see how pretty that is. Then I'm gonna try the poinciana plant, the other one, the tall one, on the other side. I'm thinking having tall, small, then medium kind of, but I ended up not liking it up there. It just didn't seem right with that pot for some reason. So I decided to put it on the ground next to the piano, and I really love the way it looks there. I think it's stunning. So this is how it ended up. And I ended up putting the food on another crystal dish, and that's full lead crystal. So it really catches the light, and you can see it just looks great with all the goodies on it. So now my piano looks much better for our Christmas room and our Christmas party. So you can see the gang there, all hanging out in the living room with our beautifully decorated piano now.